This is every Blackbeard theory ever. Is Blackbeard the Xebec's son? Did he eat a god fruit? How did this man manage to eat 3 devil fruits? Yeah, you heard that right. Bro doesn't have 2, but 3 of them. Well, I'm about to answer all of that and more in this video. To start, this guy is just plain weird. We've seen characters like Marco stating that Blackbeard has a strange body at Marineford. Buggy and Shanks talk about how he doesn't need to sleep, and most recently, Saturn said that Blackbeard has some kind of a special lineage. Then, there's the fact that Blackbeard ate the Yami Yami no Mi and Whitebeard's Gura Gura no Mi. Normally, bro should have exploded because one body can't handle 2 different wills of the devil fruit. However, instead, he became one of the strongest pirates in history, where one of the major hints towards how he might have accomplished this feat is Blackbeard's multiple personalities. For some reason, Teech seems to snap between 3 distinct characters. Sometimes he's aggressive and loves to argue. Think of when he first met Luffy at the bar in Jaya and he was ready to throw hands over a pie. Other times, he's oddly aspirational and inspirational. For example, when Luffy leaves the bar, he finds Blackbeard and suddenly bro is all friendly and talking about how dreams can never die. Even when we see him hanging around Ace aboard the Moby Dick, he was just generally supportive and friendly. And finally, we have Blackbeard, the intellectual strategist. This dude calculated that bringing Ace to the Marines would create an all-out war between the government and the Whitebeard pirates, which would ultimately pull resources away from Impel Down and create an opportunity for him to infiltrate level 6, recruit powerful pirates, and then arrive at Marineford after all the chaos to kill the worn down Whitebeard so he can steal his devil fruit. The idea that this person and the Blackbeard who got upset about pie could be the same is such a strange feeling that the community speculates that he has to have multiple personalities. This is of course backed up even more in Jaya as Luffy, Zoro, and Nami start walking away from Teech and Nami asks who he was. However, Luffy and Zoro correct her by saying that Blackbeard isn't a he, but they, which would explain why Blackbeard's Jolly Roger has not 1, but 3 skulls on it. These skulls represent the different people that reside within him. That's why, even after eating 2 devil fruits, bro is just fine. But we have only seen Blackbeard have a Logia fruit and a Paramecia. Could the 3rd person have a zone? Well, this brings us to the Cerberus Theory. Stemming from the possibility that Teech could have eaten the mythical Inu Inu no Mi model Cerberus before he ate the Yami Yami no Mi. This would complete the trio of Zone, Logia, and Paramecia, but it also fits in with a lot of what we know about him. For example, Jolly Rogers in One Piece tend to be symbols of their captain's abilities or defining features, but in Blackbeard's case, he just has 3 plain skulls and crossbones connected to each other. For Teech's flag, we might expect something like a Commodore's hat, a Blackbeard, missing teeth, or even something to do with the darkness, but it has none of that. It just has 3 heads. And what else has 3 heads? It's of course the Cerberus. This theory states that the Cerberus fruit could supposedly split Blackbeard into 3 distinct beings, each having their own personality and their own capacity to hold a devil fruit, meaning Blackbeard would have the ultimate Logia in the Dark fruit that can cancel out other fruit abilities, the ultimate Paramecia in the Tremor fruit that can destroy the entire world, and the ultimate Zone God fruit in the Cerberus, which enables its user to have 3 devil fruits. Conveniently, this also leads us to our next theory, Ragnarok. Now, this was something we covered in our Shanks video, but as it turns out, Greek lore wasn't the only one that had a mythical dog from the underworld. In Norse mythology, we have Garam, the hellhound that killed Tyr in the Battle of Ragnarok. The main evidence here is that Tyr is a red-haired, one-armed god of war, which we can connect to our own red-haired rat, Shanks, Zasnitcha. Shanks, of course, is heavily tied to Blackbeard. Their rivalry literally stems back to their fight as children. children, which we see during the 3-day battle between Roger and Whitebeard. Blackbeard was even the one who gave Shanks his iconic scars some years later, and that leads us to Ragnarok, the battle known as the Twilight of the Gods. We know that the D-Clan are the rivals to the Celestial Dragons who stand as the de facto gods of the One Piece world. And Zusnitch's real name is of course Figureland Shanks, a descendant of the captain of the Gods Knights. So the clash between the D-Clan and the Celestials will take place as Blackbeard kills Shanks, setting in motion events that will lead to the ultimate fall of the world nobles, and Blackbeard killing Shanks would also set up the fuel to eventually fight Luffy as well. Now, Cerberus and Garam aren't the only mythical animals that could be behind Blackbeard's abilities. Another popular theory is that he has the mythical god fruit model Kraken. This takes another look at Teech's Jolly Roger, where the 8 bones represent tentacles and the 3 skulls represent the hearts. And what animal has 3 hearts and 8 tentacles? An octopus, or in this case, the mythical Kraken. Krakens have been portrayed as the ultimate enemy of sailors and pirates at sea for thousands of years. They are the personification of dangers lurking below and threatening to pull you under. It's very similar to how Teech can be seen as the biggest threat to all other pirates and how he can seemingly suck the devil fruits out of others. The 3 hearts of the Kraken would allow Teech the ability to host 3 devil fruits in the same way that the heads of the Cerberus would. Similarly, one special feature of octopuses is that they almost never sleep. In fact, they only spend about 1% of their lives sleeping, and when they do it, it's usually in short bursts of under a minute, something that lines up very well with Teech not needing to sleep. This could also be connected to the inverse lore in One Piece when it comes to both Krakens and snowy countries. We've seen it mentioned how people from snow islands don't sleep, and at the same time, we have Surume, the Kraken coming from the North Pole. Interestingly enough, connecting Blackbeard to Krakens in the North Pole places him in opposition to Shanks, who is tied to the South Pole through his arguments with Buggy. Another piece of evidence is the fact that Blackbeard did not drown after being thrown into the ocean by the knockup stream. Typically, the ocean is a massive weakness for devil fruit users. However, it only drains their stamina and does not actually remove their abilities. For example, Luffy being able to stretch his neck while sunk underwater at Arlong Park. In this case, the Kraken fruit would allow Blackbeard to breathe underwater, even if he was too drained to actually move. This is how bro survived the shipwreck that should have killed him. We even see this happen with Jack, who had eaten the Zozo no Mi. But since he is half fishman, he could breathe underwater and wait for his homies to come pick him up. Another link to octopus-based abilities comes in Teech's ability to camouflage. Octopuses in our world are actually masters of disguise, and when you consider how well Teech was able to fly under the radar on Whitebeard's crew for literal decades, that is pretty solid connection. There is one thing that many people associate with octopuses and Krakens that get tied to Blackbeard that I kind of don't agree with. Honestly, I kind of don't agree with this entire theory, and that is the ability to spray ink and how it ties into Teech's ability to create and spread darkness. However, out of all the theories, this is one of the most mid theories, okay? Because having ink-based abilities would be sick as hell. The darkness ability isn't the power of the Kraken. It's a totally different fruit, okay? So
that doesn't make no sense.
Also, in regards to the 3 hearts, well, we saw what happens when characters switched hearts through Law's power in Punk Hazard. It proved that the devil fruit powers attaches to the body and DNA itself, not the hearts. Just because Smoker's heart was inside Tashigi didn't mean he could still turn into smoke. So Blackbeard storing the different fruits in the Kraken's 3 heart, the whole theory falls apart, alright? But a theory that isn't mid is the Bai Ze, which actually has a lot of evidence supporting it. This theory starts off with one of Blackbeard's most iconic traits, his laugh. Laughs in One Piece are often an indication of person's devil fruit. For example, Perona's Horo Horo laugh matches her Hollow Hollow fruit. Whitebeard's Gura Gura laugh is a reference to quaking or so on. But what about the most iconic laugh in the series, Blackbeard's? Well, This laugh might actually be the key to unlocking his devil fruit secret. In Chinese mythology exists a creature with 3 faces, one being a tiger, another a sheep, and the third a lion. This is the Bai Ze, and when it is talked about in Japanese myth, it is often referred to as the Hatutaku. And when we combine the Bai Ze and the Ha-tutaku, it gives us Ze ha ha ha. But it doesn't end there, because the 3 faces of the beast mirrors Blackbeard's Jolly Roger, his personalities, and 3 devil fruits of Blackbeard. But each of these faces also has 3 eyes. This could be hinting at Blackbeard having a power similar to the 3-eyed tribe that Pudding belongs to. As for the specific animals mentioned, the tiger could also be represented through the claw-like weapons Blackbeard scarred Shanks with. The sheep could be seen in his cowardly behavior, and the lion's mane might be shown through his iconic beard and hair. However, by far the coolest part of this theory that kind of seals the deal for me is that this Bai Ze creature was said to have killed an earthquake yokai, which obviously brings us right back to Teech killing Whitebeard at Marineford. But maybe that's not quite enough to link Blackbeard to Bai Ze for you. Well, then what if I told you that this mythical beast held the secrets to the Huangdi, a text cataloging over 11,000 types of supernatural creatures and how to overwhelm them? No way some dude like sat down and came up with 11,000 random creatures and then wrote down how to defeat them. Oh my god.
Alright, what if a rabbit looked like a snake and had the fangs of a tiger? How would you defeat that?
Okay, now coming back to the theory. Remember, at the core of Blackbeard's master plan was finding the Yami Yami no Mi, a fruit he learned all about by memorizing the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia. The Bai Ze perfectly encapsulates so much of Blackbeard's character and story that it's difficult to argue against this being a strong possibility for his final fruit.
Okay, Sid, all this fruit stuff is cool, but what about Blackbeard's daddy and his mysterious origins? Like, where did this dude spawn from? Well, that brings us to the demon of Ohara Theory. We know that Oda loves doing parallels and double takes in his writings. Well, this theory takes full advantage of that by claiming the true demon of Ohara isn't Robin, but it is instead Blackbeard. Now, right off the bat, you're probably saying, that's a pretty crazy theory, ABD. After all, we know Robin was the only survivor of Ohara, but that might not be the case. So a few things about Blackbeard that you anime only aren't aware of is that Oda has mentioned him quite a few times in his SPS notes over the years. But in volume 81 and 88, we get some pretty interesting points. Firstly, Blackbeard's hobby is studying history. And second, if he was a pirate, he would have been an archaeologist. These facts alone tie him to Ohara, at least tangentially. I mean, Ohara was the archaeology capital of the world. And then there's this one fact that kept coming up throughout Robin's flashback. 6 years prior to our look at Robin's childhood, her mother, Nico Olivia, had left Ohara to uncover the true history of the world, and her research team had been captured. Now, Oda is very specific with the dates he uses in the series, and this just happened to be the exact point in time that a young orphan by the name of Marshall D. Teech begged Whitebeard to join his crew. This theory suggests that Nico Olivia wasn't the only archaeologist to have escaped the world government's grasp. You see, Oda often groups characters together by giving them matching design qualities. For example, the hat that both Olivia and Teech wears. This could have been some kind of uniform for Olivia's research group, and so we now have the possibility that Teech's parents were in this group as well. But they were captured and killed, which is why he was so beat up when he approached Whitebeard. So we can tie Blackbeard to Ohara, or at least their research of the Void Century. But where does the demon element come in? Well, that brings us to Trisaras. This was the three-headed Asura, or demon, known for having battled Hanuman, the Hindu monkey mythical deity that Luffy is based on. obviously Asura have been established in the world of One Piece through Zoro, so it's reasonable to have them in other parts of the story too. And this theory comes to a peak with Blackbeard having the mythical Zoan Asura devil fruit. Listen, I'm talking about the model Triceras in specific, as it had 3 heads which were charged with different responsibilities. Again, something which could have been represented through the multiple personalities of Blackbeard. The first head was for eating and drinking, the personality we saw in the pie scene. The second head is for observing the world around them, the strategist personality. And the final head was for reading ancient Hindu text, the 4 Vedas. And boom! Suddenly we have a part of his personality tied to the study of history. So if Blackbeard has an Asura devil fruit, or to put another way to it, a demon fruit, and he has ties to Ohara, which resulted in his parents being killed and him plotting a vendetta against the world, then the true demon of Ohara that had to be unleashed by the world government would not have been Robin, but it would have been Blackbeard.
Shut your stupid...
Okay, fine. Alright, listen, I don't really actually believe in that theory and my stocks are not on it. But this final theory will blow you all away, because I managed to connect dots, revealing lines that would have escaped your eyes, especially those who haven't hit that notification bell, missing out on training your balls deep observation hockey. This theory is hands down my favorite. Blackbeard being the son of Rox D. Xebec. As we saw in chapter 1108, Saturn refers to Blackbeard as being part of some special lineage, and that is of course in reference to Blackbeard's relationship to none other than Xebec. Blackbeard is Rox D. Xebec's son or nephew. Either way, the connection between the two are spat out clearly. In fact, it's so uncanny that one could even say it's more than inspiration and guidance, but outright possession. Alright, I'll get to that more in a bit. But here are some examples. In chapter 1107, Blackbeard's goals are confirmed to be the same as Xebec's, of wanting to take over the world. He, like Xebec, recruited strong pirates under his rule. Even Saturn didn't expect the level 6 impelled down pirates to follow another person, but like Shiki, Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard, they followed a person who had big ambitions with a big promise. That is, to topple the world government and rule the world. Blackbeard's relationship to his father is a play on different paths a child takes from their parents. Like Ace despised his biological father and rejected the path given to him by his adopted one. Luffy found mentorship in Shanks and, like his brother, became his own person. However, Blackbeard, as the antithesis of Luffy, represents the opposite. Someone who isn't an individual but became the extension of another. This is highlighted with Blackbeard naming his ship the Sabre of Xebec, where both the Jolly Roger have the trademark of a jawless 3-teeth skull. Let's not forget, Blackbeard was born after the legends of Rox, whose existence was successfully hidden to the masses. Unlike Roger, not even high navy commanders like Hina knew of Rox. So how did Teech? Unless he is his son. Blackbeard is here to complete Xebec's dream, as like Luffy, he believes dreams are treasures which will manifest into reality. In chapter 1096, we also learnt one of the reasons for Rock's attack on God Valley was that something was taken from his island. Around this time, Blackbeard would have been a year old, and in his Reverie card, it stated he was born somewhere in the Grand Line, meaning he could have been born in Fullerled and was taken to God Valley. My theory is that they targeted Rox's wife and son because of their special lineage. Like Kuma, they must have been from a close-knit race and descendant of Joy Boy's crew, hence the D in their name. Either that or they were just, just targeted due to Rox's actions. Rox married a D, like Roger, and in parallel to Ace, who represented the light and fire, Blackbeard, who represents darkness, also took on his mother's name, Marshall. The treasure stolen from Fuleled couldn't have been any devil fruit, as Rox's crew would have eaten it straight away, and I doubt Rox would start a war for something like that. Plus, this geezer was in his prime. You're telling me he ain't smashing baddies left, right, and center? Come on! When Rox heard that his son was taken, he made his move of attacking the government earlier than planned. In the end, he was defeated, but not before saving his son. However, unlike Shanks, Blackbeard was sent adrift to grow up all alone. What kept him alive was his dead father, whose devil fruit ability allowed him to live as a spirit and possess his son.
What the hell are you talking about?
Like, come on, look at Rox's Jolly Roger. It's literally a demonic skull. This gave rise to Blackbeard's dual personality, with the third person being the spirit of the Zoan devil fruit. Once Rox was dead and attached to Blackbeard, the soul of the three lived as one. Hence, they are them and not him. To go even further beyond, the whole reason for Blackbeard's surprise attack on Shanks was for revenge. Because the person who was responsible for Rox's death was none other than Vigar Land Garling, Shanks' biological father, and of course Shanks' adopted father, Roger. At some point, Blackbeard learned the truth about Shanks' heritage and decided to pay him a little visit, leaving Shanks with the 3 notable marked scar. Anyway guys, let us know what you guys think. What theory is your favorite? And is there one that we missed out? Let us know down below. But if you guys want to watch more peak fiction, then check out this video next.